One.
Alrighty, well, good afternoon. We are the Oracle acquisition team, and we would like to discuss the proposed acquisition of Sun Microsystems. My name is Lawrence Washington, and I would like to introduce the rest of the acquisition team for Oracle. We have Alex Staten, Ria Englert, and Ed Fahn. Agenda for today, we'll talk about our overall view on acquiring Sun Microsystems, our valuation methods that we utilize and other valuation methodologies, and then also our suggested max price we would be willing to pay for Sun Microsystems. So, is Sun Microsystems a good strategic fit for Oracle? Absolutely. And basically, we have 4 points for rationale. Number one, both firms are familiar with each other. They've had successful business activities in the past, and we believe that there are potential synergies that will be created. Two, Oracle will acquire well-known technology systems, most notably Java and Solaris, and will enter a new business segment as well of computing hardware. Three, Oracle will be able to integrate existing and acquired software with hardware. And lastly, we will be able to expand our customer base that is formed of newly acquired and integrated technologies. Ria, I'll flip it over to you.
Thanks, Lawrence. We considered two approaches to value Sun Microsystems, an income and a market. Firstly, we found the standalone value before also later factoring in synergies. Discounted cash flow was our preferred valuation method for both, as it considers time value of money as well as focuses on cash flows over profits. There can be some debate on whether to choose the perpetuity or multiples method. Given that Sun's competitive set seems to be in better financial health, this could lead to an overly optimistic result, which doesn't necessarily reflect Sun's future properly. So we use perpetuity growth, assuming that the company grows with the economy in perpetuity at a growth rate equal to our risk-free rate of 3.66%. Moving on to the next slide. We use two different methods to calculate Sun's weighted average cost of capital. Firstly, as seen on this side, using only Sun's financials, and we used capital cost of equity calculation with a market risk premium of 6%, and a rate of 3.66%, which was the 30-year treasury rate, as our assumed risk-free rate for valuation. With the next slide, we can see our comparable companies' weighted average cost of capital calculation. We selected companies specifically within the computing hardware space to come up with an unlevered beta for Sun. This was found to be 1.48, which is significantly higher than the other companies, indicating riskier operations. It is clear from our WACC calculations that the market assigns a higher cost of capital to Sun relative to its competitors. This indicates that the company is in financial trouble. The rate of return that Oracle should require on the acquisition should be equal to Sun's weighted average cost of capital. We'll move on to the next slide, which shows our standalone discounted cash flow. I'll walk you through the calculation and some of the assumptions that we made, and we can stay on this slide. We assume taxes of 35%, which helps us obtain no PAT. Working capital value that we calculated for 2009 served as the basis to obtain 25.9%, which later helped us model the following years as net working capital. Eventually, our FCF was calculated by subtracting change in net working capital and CapEx, adding back depreciation. We assumed rates for risk-free and medium average cost of capital to help us arrive at our terminal value of 10,847. Later, we deducted debt and added back marketable securities, which the case mentions as a form of excess cash from the enterprise value to give us equity value. This gave us Sun's standalone price per share of $11.75 using the standalone discounted cash flow method. The next few slides just walk over and go through the calculations a little bit, but Ed can carry on by talking about the discounted cash flow method with synergies.
Thank you, Ria. For our evaluation of Sun Microsystem with synergies, we can see that on the first year of the merger's acquisition, we have a loss in operating income of $45 million. This can be attributed to the loss of income from our clients, as well as a potential delay in any purchases, as well as any unforeseen delays in our merger's acquisition phase. We can also expect an integration expense of $1.1 billion. This will be spread over 2 years, with $750 million in 2010, as well as $350 million in 2011. As the merger acquisition is successfully completed, we can expect a $900 million return in year 3, with a gradual increase in year 1 of $300 million and $600 million in year 2. Overall, this we can see that our price per share comes to $15.11, including the valuation of synergy cost. This slide shows the amount of cost as well as profit that we would expect to make. And next, Alex will be talk about market valuation approach.
Thanks, Ed. So we also decided to take a look at valuing Sun Microsystems under the market valuation approach using multiples of comparable companies for valuation. We decided to use 5 companies as a comparison to Sun based upon the fact that they are relatively similar sized, and they are also companies that primarily sell products within the computer and technology industry. We initially looked at 4 separate metrics, including enterprise value to EBITDA, enterprise value to sales, enterprise value to EBIT, and price to earnings. We then decided that the best 2 metrics to use out of the 4 we initially looked at were EV to EBITDA and EV to sales. We used the average multiple of the 5 companies, and then we applied a 60% weighting to EV to EBITDA and a 40% weighting to EV to sales. We did this because while sales are important, we felt that EBITDA was a better representation of the state of the company and its current efficiency. This approach ultimately resulted in a price per share valuation of $13.93. While this method could work for valuation purposes, we decided that using the income approach was a better way to value Sun Microsystems in this case. And now I'll toss it back to Ed to take us through a final brief summary.
Thanks, Alex. So as we can see, the Oracle's current proposal of $9.50 per share for Sun Microsystems is a good deal because compared to our discounted cash flow of $11.75 for the standalone discounted cash flow, as well as our $15.11 per share for discounted cash flow, including valuation with synergy calculation. Our recommendation for the highest offer that Oracle should be willing to offer is that $15.10 per share will be able to be profitable, and $15.11 per share will be able to for us to break even. Thus, $15.10 per share would be our highest willing offer price.